Go Who's and welcome to the 4-3-4 defense. My name is Deuce Prince. I'm a Charlottesville, Virginia native, lifelong UVA football fan, and former college offensive lineman. And specialists are people too, damn it. We are covering Virginia's specialist headed into 2026 spring ball. Thankfully, there are not a lot of new faces to learn and names to memorize because we are running back quite a bit of this football team on the special teams. And Coach Keith Gaither returns as special teams coordinator. He also coaches the running backs. So, two really, really important positions on the football field. A play made or missed by a running back can win or lose the game, and even more so on the special teams end. But, Coach Gaither has a reliable group that he knows going into the 2026 season. At kicker, Will Bettridge returns for the 2026 season. Will Bettridge has set records for points scored at the University of Virginia. Will was awesome throughout the 2025 season, really put us in a solid position being able to make kicks. Think of games where field goals really did make the difference, whether it was Louisville, whether it was the Gator Bowl against Missouri. Will's kicking really allowed us to stay in games and put points on the board. We had that cardiac calves mentality throughout 2025. Well, there were multiple instances where a made or missed field goal is the difference between us being able to win an overtime game with a direct snap to Jamari Taylor or just not even having the chance to go into overtime. And so Will has been exceptional. I expect him to maintain a lot of the same consistency, God willing, in 2026. And so if I'm Coach Gaither, I'm telling Will, you know what? Keep that leg healthy. Don't overwork it. And whatever we did to get to the point we did in 2025, let's just continue to refine. Let's continue to elevate our kicking game. We don't have to reinvent the wheel in the kicking game. Punter is very similar. We return Daniel Sparks as well as Eli Slybeck. We had a chance to see both in the 2025 season, and I thought we had two really, really solid options at punter. Sparks was the main punter in 2025, but don't sleep on Slybeck. He had a just mammoth punt last year. I think it was against Louisville. It completely flipped the field. This thing went like 70 yards total, like 60 through the air, took a great bounce against Louisville. I believe this was the series where he had Miller Moss pinned down in the end zone and Daniel Rickert killed an offensive tackle on the process of nailing him. And then I don't remember if this wasn't the same series, but we had other punts that put us in position for Cam Robinson to make that exceptional interception. The punting game for Virginia I thought was very solid in 2025, and so I expect a very similar performance from the position. This will be kind of an underrated position battle. Sparks obviously has the experience. Slybeck showed some flashes in 2025. I don't know what necessarily that looks like as a position battle. I'm not a special teams expert, and B, I don't know what the expectation is for both of those players, but it should be an interesting watch. I think we'll have a chance to see both of those punters excel during the spring. The one position where we are guaranteed some change in 2026 is long snapper. Long snapper is a super underrated position on the football field. I can tell you, the most interesting people I've met in the game of football are long snappers. In Detroit, where my dad was, I had a chance to meet Don Muhlbach. Don was one of the most interesting people in the NFL I ever had a chance to meet, and the most interesting players I met in college were long snappers. These guys are philosopher kings in many ways, and also just the craziest people on a football team in some respects. So coming from New Hampshire via Marist, or from Marist to New Hampshire to Virginia, comes Wyatt Rubinoff, a transfer long snapper. Wyatt was a part of the UNH Wildcats, who compete in the Colonial Athletic Association, same conference as William and Mary. Wyatt has been just a very interesting long snapper to watch. I think he'll have a chance to compete for some playing time, along with long snapper Jacob Tannenbaum, who enters his sophomore season at the University of Virginia. Jacob, if you don't know, is the son of Mike Tannenbaum. He was the general manager of the New York Jets when the Jets were really competitive under Rex Ryan, was also a vice president with the Miami Dolphins, and is now doing a lot of really interesting work in the analytics space in football, running the 33rd team. Long snapper is a critical position for any football team. Let's get that right out of the way. The long snappers can win or lose a game in the most devastating fashion or the most exhilarating fashion. A clean exchange to the short snapper for a field goal, that's like 30% of a made kick. If you can get the snap off with the correct timing, the correct placement, and these guys have to get it down to the correct rotations, because obviously, as anyone who's watched Ace Ventura knows, laces out, and the exchange in football at the Power 4 NFL level, there isn't a whole lot of time for the holder to catch the ball, look at the ball, see if the laces are in the right spot. Let's grab the football. There isn't enough time for the holder often to catch the ball, place the ball, and then see if the laces are in the right orientation. They have to really catch the ball with the laces right there. And snappers nowadays have gotten so good that they can literally snap it knowing that they will put the laces in the right spot. They have the revolutions and the speed down to that extent. Long snappers are crazy people that they can do this. It is one of the most impressive things on a football field that no one talks about, that they can snap the ball with such efficiency and accuracy that they can snap the ball so that the holder does not have to fiddle with the rotation of the laces. If you've seen a missed kick, more often than not, it has to do with the holder having to fumble with the laces, or the holder just putting the ball down with the laces in, and the holder trying to adjust the football. Obviously, kickers will hook it or push it away, or, the draw or the slice of the kick or the wind. Those things all result in missed kicks. But sometimes if you see a kick that, the kicker looked like he kicked it fine, why did it miss? A lot of the time it has to do with the fact that the laces were oriented wrong, or the snap was inaccurate in some way, shape, or form. So between Tannenbaum and Rubinoff, we have two long snappers. Tannenbaum is a football kid like myself. He has grown up in those meeting rooms, has grown up in those facilities. He has had a chance to see this and knows how granular it gets. For Rubinoff, he has had a chance to be a long snapper at Marist at UNH. I went to high school close to Marist in Westchester, New York, so I will forever beat my chest for football up there being better than a lot of people think, and the specialists up there tend to be actually really good. And so between Rubinoff and Tannenbaum, I think that we have a chance for some really special teams work. Also, more broadly, special teams wise, Coach Gaither, I thought, did an excellent job throughout the year with the special teams. If you can remember one bad special teams play in a season, that typically means you actually did pretty good on special teams. Everyone knows the play I'm talking about. It's the punt return against Wake Forest. The play that ultimately made the difference in the season. In many respects, if we win that game against Wake Forest, we might clinch some things earlier. Things might go a little bit differently. Who knows what happens if we win that game? But, it made a sizable difference, I think. And, the fact that we have one play that we can remember, and, we don't remember a bunch of blocked punts, and we don't remember a bunch of blocked field goals, because there really weren't. Special teams errors on the 2025 squad were so rare that we really do remember the one or two. The only other one I can think of is Jacob Holmes' offsides on a punt block. I watch all of these games whistle to whistle. Those are the two special teams errors I can think of. Special teams is a fascinating thing to get into because, you're throwing in people from different position groups who are focused on their other position, and they are doing special teams as their ancillary role. unless you're a punter, kicker, or holder, special teams is probably not going to be your main responsibility on game day. You're a wide receiver first. You are a tight end. You are a defensive lineman. You are a linebacker, safety, whatever it is first, and then you do special teams. So spring ball special teams are critical because you need to instill a level of focus and attention to detail on special teams before fall camp even starts. Because you need every player on the team to know well that this is not just something that we're doing on the side. Games are won and lost on special teams, and these plays make a difference and they add up. So, know what special teams you're on. If you've ever been in a pregame meeting for a college or even pro football team, you know about special teams roll call, because not every position is going to have the same role on special teams. You know, your left gunner might be a wide receiver, a corner, a safety, or any other number of positions. And so if that person goes down, you need to know and be aware of it so you can show up on the field. You know, there are a lot of special teams errors where 10 guys are on the field or 12 guys are on the field. And so more broadly, this is a time where you iron out all of your procedures, get guys acquainted with things. You know, special teams lineups change week to week, but so we're not going to necessarily know who our left gunner is in spring ball for August 29th in Rio. Like, that player might change for any number of reasons, but it's more of a team mentality that needs to be instilled during the spring. And so Coach Gaither is going to be heavily involved in that process, obviously picking a punter and long snapper, considering we have two of those on the roster. Kicker is basically a one position group on this. You know, Slybeck has some translatability over to place kicker, but I would expect, barring injury, that Will is our K1 going into 2026. Punter, long snapper, we will see what happens. You know, these are hot and cold positions, so you never really know. And you know, all these guys seem like they're really quality players. So whoever comes out with that job in spring, I think they're going to do an excellent job. Let me know if you would like to have a really detailed breakdown of some of the intricacies of special teams. You know, I broke down the orientation of the laces on snaps, got into a little bit of the positional versatility that you see on special teams and some of the roll calls and some of the things that have to happen to make special teams work. It's not like NCAA or College Football 26 where you kind of just hit punt and 11 guys show up on the field. You really have to know this in and out if you're on a college football roster. So if you want, I would love to break those down. Drop that down below in the comments. If you've made it this far, it's clear you are a special team sicko. You should subscribe right now. But if you've made it this far, it's clear that you love UVA football and enjoy what we do here at the 4-3-4 defense. So if I could ask just one thing, if you please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much for watching. Punters are people too, and go Hoos.